The moment Kai stepped through the obsidian archway, his earpiece went silent. Not the comfortable silence of standby mode. The dead silence of something being stripped away, like a hand reaching into his skull and pulling out sound by the root. He pressed 2 fingers to his jaw, activating the backup channel. Nothing. The diplomatic security team's Neuralink grid, the one they had tested 17 times on the transport, was gone. He kept walking. That was the first rule of close protection. Never break stride when something goes wrong. The Queen's procession moved ahead of him. 12 Varalhari honor guards in silver-black armor, their movements too synchronized to be trained, too fluid to be mechanical. In the center, elevated slightly by some trick of gravity or illusion, walked Queen Seraveth of the Varalhari Dominion. Kai had been briefed on her. Everyone on the protection detail had. But the briefings had not prepared him for the physical reality of her presence. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin the pale silver blue of deep ocean ice. Her 4 eyes, arranged in a slight arc across her face, moved independently, and, right now 2 of them were scanning the crowd of dignitaries lining the hall while the other 2 faced forward. He had not prepared for the way the air felt near her. It pressed. Not like heat or cold. Like attention. Like being watched so completely that the space between atoms tightened. Kai was 40 meters back, his assigned position as outer perimeter support for Ambassador Chen's human delegation. His job was observation. Flag threats. Report up the chain. Except the chain was severed. He began running threat assessment manually, the old way, eyes only, no augmentation. The hall was 600 meters long and, cathedral high, carved from a single continuous piece of material that the Varalhari called living stone, though no human geologist had classified what it actually was. Along the walls, tiered observation platforms held representatives from 11 species. The humans occupied Tier 4, a deliberate placement, not at the bottom, which would be insult, not at the top, which would be presumption. The procession was 40 seconds from the Accord threshold, the symbolic midpoint where Queen Seraveth would formally acknowledge Ambassador Chen and the first words of interspecies diplomacy between humanity and the Dominion would be spoken. Kai's eyes moved across the crowd. He caught it before he understood what he was seeing. Third platform from the left, Tier 2, a Garadi diplomat had shifted his weight to his forward legs. Subtle. Natural looking. But Garadi shifted weight like that in one specific context, preparation to throw. Their species had evolved as ambush hunters. The motion was instinct dressed as posture. Kai's hand moved to his sidearm before his conscious mind finished the sentence. He did not draw. Protocol was absolute. No human was to brandish a weapon inside Varalhari sovereign space without direct authorization from Ambassador Chen, and Chen was 40 meters ahead, completely unaware that Kai's comms were dead. He thought, I need to get to her. I need to stop this. If that Garadi throws anything near the Queen and it looks like a human-coordinated attack, we don't just lose the Accord, we lose whatever peace we came in with. He thought, I cannot reach Chen in time. He thought, with the blunt, ugly honesty that danger produces, someone is about to die and I might be the only person in this room who knows it. The procession kept moving. The honor guards kept their formation. The crowd kept its careful, diplomatic stillness. And, then, Queen Seraveth stopped. Not the procession. Just her. The honor guards continued 3 steps before halting in perfect unison, a motion like a single organism catching itself. The Queen stood with her back still partially to the crowd, her forward-facing eyes on the Accord threshold ahead. But her second set of eyes, the pair that had been scanning the crowd, rotated slowly. Deliberately. They found Kai. Across 40 meters of living stone and diplomatic silence, across the heads of 11 species and 1,000 years of mutual ignorance, Queen Seraveth of the Varalhari Dominion looked directly at him. Not at the crowd. Not at the Garadi diplomat. At Kai. Her expression did not change. Her posture did not shift. She simply looked at him the way a person looks at something they already know, the way you glance at a clock not to learn the time but to confirm what you already felt. Then, her lips moved. No sound reached him. But he read it. He had spent 3 years learning Varalhari phonetics for this assignment, and her lips shaped words with the precision of someone who knew she was being read across a distance. She said, I heard you. Then, she turned back toward the Accord threshold, and everything in the room changed. Kai did not move for 2 full seconds. That was longer than he had ever frozen in the field, and He recognized the paralysis for what it was, his mind attempting to process something that did not fit inside the categories he had built his career on. Telepathy was not in the Varalhari official disclosure. The diplomatic briefings had described them as an emotionally perceptive species with advanced social cognition, the language of bureaucracy covering something that science had not yet classified. He had thought something. A structured thought, fully formed, with specific operational details about the Garadi diplomat and the Accord threshold and Ambassador Chen. She had heard it. He broke the freeze. Moved. His route to Chen was blocked by the natural clustering of the crowd. Dignitaries pressed toward the center aisle for a better view of the historic moment, and, moving through them forcefully would draw attention, which was the second worst outcome available to him. He angled left, using the corridor's edge, moving fast but keeping his body language neutral. A man walking with purpose looks different than a man running. He had learned that in his first year. The Garadi diplomat had not moved again. That worried Kai more than motion would have. Stillness after a preparatory shift meant commitment. The decision had been made. They were waiting for timing. He reached Chen's outer aide, a young woman named Priya who had the useful habit of watching doorways. He put his hand on her elbow and she turned without alarm. She was trained well. "Comms are down," he said quietly. "Garadi threat. Tier 2, third platform. I cannot confirm weapon but body language is pre-throw. I need Chen to shift position 2 meters right without making it look deliberate." Priya absorbed this in the span of a breath. "Authorization." "I'm giving it." She looked at him steadily. "Your outer perimeter." "I know." A beat. Then, she moved. She was good. She crossed to Chen with the ease of someone delivering a routine note and leaned in close. Kai watched Chen's face for the micro-expression that would tell him whether the message had landed or been dismissed. Chen was 63 years old and had negotiated in 4 active conflict zones. He did not dismiss things. Chen shifted 2 meters right, adjusting his stance under the pretense of turning to address a colleague. Natural. Unforced. The Garadi diplomat's weight shifted back. Kai exhaled once. The immediate window had closed. But closed windows had a habit of reopening. He moved to take a position closer to Chen, breaching his assigned perimeter without authorization for the second time in 4 minutes. If this resolved cleanly, he would face a review board. If it did not resolve cleanly, review boards would be the least of anyone's concerns. The procession had resumed. Queen Seraveth walked again toward the Accord threshold, and something about her movement was different now, a fractional adjustment in the tilt of her head, as though she was listening to a frequency the room did not know it was broadcasting. Kai thought very carefully about nothing. He constructed blankness the way he had been trained to under duress. Breathe, reduce language, reduce imagery, reduce the interior monologue to pure sensation. It was a technique for resisting interrogation. He had never expected to use it to prevent a diplomatic incident caused by thinking too loudly near an alien queen. He almost felt something like humor. Almost. The Accord threshold was a raised circular platform, 5 meters in diameter, inlaid with Varalhari script that the translation team had spent 8 months decoding. The ceremony required Queen Seraveth to step onto the platform, deliver the opening acknowledgement in High Varalhari, and, then, invite the ambassador to respond. 40 seconds of ritual. The most important 40 seconds in human diplomatic history. She stepped onto the platform. Her 4 eyes were forward now, all of them, fixed on some middle distance that felt ceremonial, the practiced gaze of royalty performing the gravity of a moment. Ambassador Chen moved to the platform's edge, the correct position for a receiving dignitary. The hall fell into complete silence, the kind that has weight. And, then, Queen Seraveth spoke, not the opening words of the ceremony, not the High Varalhari acknowledgement that the entire diplomatic corps had rehearsed responses to. She turned her head slightly, and, she said, in clean, unaccented English, "The one behind you sees clearly. You would be wise to listen to him before you listen to anyone else in this room." The silence shattered into the controlled chaos of 11 species reacting simultaneously. Chen turned. His eyes found Kai. Kai met them without flinching. Priya was already moving back toward Tier 2. The Garadi diplomat stood up. Protocol collapsed in the space between one heartbeat and the next. The Garadi's name was Dreshvo, a detail Kai had memorized from the mission brief the way he memorized all potentially relevant names, without expectation of needing them, with the discipline of someone who had learned that preparation is the only honest prayer. Dreshvo stood from the observation tier and, the motion was too fast, too deliberate, the restraint of the last several minutes releasing all at once. Kai was already moving. He crossed the whole floor in a straight line, the protocol boundary between his position and the platform irrelevant now. The Queen herself had dissolved it by speaking his implicit authority into the room. He did not draw his weapon. He calculated, drawing in a crowd of 11 species, with no comms, with a Queen on a ceremonial platform, with Varalhari honor guards whose response parameters he did not know, was a faster path to catastrophe than the threat itself. He used his body. He put himself between Ambassador Chen and the open angle from Tier 2. Not a defensive crouch, not a visible posture of protection, just placement. A body in a space, redefining the geometry of what was possible. Dreshvo reached into his diplomatic sash. One of the Varalhari honor guards moved, not toward Dreshvo, but toward Kai. The guard stopped 3 feet away and simply stood there. A wall of silver-black armor and absolute stillness.
Blotskin Kai.
Kai looked at the guard. The guard did not look back, the Varalhari equivalent of a warning. Do not proceed. He thought, if I stop here, Chen is exposed. If I push through, I may cause the very incident I'm trying to prevent. He thought, she said she hears everything. So he thought directly, deliberately, as clearly as he could form language inside his own skull. Queen Seraveth. The Garadi diplomat in Tier 2 is reaching for something inside his sash. I cannot get to the ambassador without going through your guard. I am asking your permission. The guard moved aside. It happened with the immediacy of something synchronized, as though the order had arrived before the asking was finished. Kai did not waste the moment. He crossed the remaining distance to Chen in 4 steps and put his hand firmly on the ambassador's arm. We need to move, he said. Chen moved. They stepped back from the platform edge together, smooth and unhurried. Not retreat, just repositioning, the kind that reads as deliberate rather than afraid. 2 of the Varalhari honor guards peeled from the procession formation and flanked them without instruction. Dreshvo's hand came out of the sash. It held a sigil disc, a Garada device used in binding contracts, in assassination rituals, and in targeted sonic disruption, depending on the configuration. From 40 meters, Kai could not read the configuration. He watched the disc the way he had been trained to watch hands, without blinking, without assumptions. The Garadi diplomat looked across the hall. His multiple eyes scanned the repositioned Chen, the flanking guards, Kai's placement. He looked at Queen Seraveth. She was watching him. Not with alarm. Not with anger. With the same quality of attention that had found Kai across 40 meters earlier. The complete, comprehensive attention of something that had already read the room and was simply waiting for the room to understand what it already knew. Dreshvo lowered the disc. He set it on the platform rail of Tier 2 and stepped back from it with both forearms raised, the Garada gesture of withdrawal, of standing down. It was not graceful. It was not diplomatic. It was the motion of someone who had just realized that whatever advantage they had believed they held had not existed.
Kai Breathead.
The honor guard that had blocked him now stood at his left shoulder. Still. Present. Not threatening. Queen Seraveth descended from the Accord threshold, and, for the first time since the ceremony had begun, she walked without the procession. She walked alone, across the hall floor, toward Kai and Ambassador Chen. She stopped 3 feet away. Up close, the pressure of her attention was not aggressive. It was, Kai searched for the word and found it, thorough. Like being read by something patient and very old. She looked at Chen first. Your protector broke 7 protocols today, she said. Her English was flawless and apparently spontaneous. 3 of them to protect you. 2 of them to protect this accord. 1 of them to protect a room full of people who never knew they were in danger. She paused. The 7th, she said, he broke to ask my permission. That one I found interesting. Chen looked at Kai. Kai kept his face neutral, which took considerable effort. The Queen turned her full attention to Kai, all 4 eyes, all at once. He had the overwhelming sense of being not just seen but read, every memory and intention and unspoken calculation laid transparent. You tried to think quietly near me, she said. Yes, It did not work. I noticed. Something moved at the corners of her mouth. It might have been amusement. He could not tell. He was not sure the expression had a direct human equivalent. You were not afraid of me, she said. You were afraid of failing him. She gestured fractionally toward Chen. That distinction matters. Many who stand in this hall today were afraid of me. They thought things about me that were small and careful and safe. You thought about the job. She let the silence hold for a moment that felt both very long and precisely measured. This accord will proceed, she said, addressing Chen but not looking away from Kai. I have 700 years of experience reading the intentions of those who enter rooms where I stand. In that time, I have ended negotiations for lesser deceits and honored them for lesser courage. She finally looked at the ambassador directly. Your outer perimeter is promoted, effectively immediately, to whatever rank allows him to stand at your side. Chen said, that would be chief of detail. Then, he is that. She turned without waiting for confirmation, walking back toward the accord threshold with the unhurried certainty of someone who had already seen how the next hour would end. She stepped onto the platform. She looked back once, not at Chen, not at the crowd. At Kai. Her lips moved, shaped words without sound, the same precision as before. She said, I hear everything. Remember that. Then, she raised her hands and spoke the opening words of the ceremony in High Valhari, and the most important 40 seconds in human diplomatic history began, and the hall, all 11 species of it, fell into the kind of silence that means something is beginning rather than ending. Kai stood at Ambassador Chen's left shoulder. He thought nothing at all. He did not think it very carefully. 2:2.